Hi, everyone. I'm Troy Dreyer, the Senior Associate Editor for StreamingMedia.com and OnlineVideo.net. Thanks for joining us today. I know it's very tempting. There's a Doctor Who exhibit in the same building. I removed temptation by going yesterday so that I wouldn't have to think about it today. And so now I can concentrate. We're having a discussion about government and public service, online video, and we've got three great panelists. I like that we have just three panelists so that we can hear more from them and get a little deeper into things than on some of the bigger panels. Each one is going to start out with a little bit about themselves and their work, and then we'll get into a group discussion. Let's start with Laurent Briand, Head of Central Government for Thomson. He's working for Thomson Reuters here in the UK.
Thanks very much, Troy. So I work in our central government department at Thomson Reuters, and I'm going to talk to you a bit about a project that we're currently working on with HMRC, so Her Majesty Revenue and Customs, which is a very large central government department in the UK. One of their major initiatives right now is to help and encourage people to start up in business, but more importantly, make a success in that critical sort of first year or 18 months of trading. So we started working with them about 6 months ago to find alternative means of delivering that advice and information in a very cost-effective manner. Given the sort of budget cuts and challenging economic climate, there's a real interest in central government in video literally in the last few months in a way that they were very reticent about moving into rich media, let's say 2 years ago. I'm just going to talk about channel shift, which is an approach to changing the way that government works in the UK, and just talk to you a bit about how online video plays a very big part in that now today. And then talk about some of the actual content that we've specifically created to support UK business owners, and then finish off with a bit of a sneak preview on a service which is actually going live in November, just to give you an idea of what we've actually been building. So this is a description of the term channel shift, and for the team I work in at Thomson Reuters, we're working very closely with a range of government departments to find different ways of delivering information. So traditionally, a lot of the services would be delivered by specialists and individuals, but due to budget cuts and pressures, particularly in the UK and the business environment, come November, they'll actually be closing down the regional advice services. So there were literally hundreds of advisors that went out to businesses to support them, and they would meet with them face to face. And we've now been working with government in order to provide online video to help support the gap that's going to be left by closing down those services. So here's an example of some of the cost benefits now that government are much more receptive to around using online video. So if we use that example of those specialist advisors that went out to help business owners and support them in the challenges that they were facing to make their businesses successful, there's a relatively high cost of engagement. So we're looking at about £8 per customer engagement. Obviously, when we move that interaction to telephone, clearly there are efficiencies and we can drive down the cost to around £3, which is a big step in the first stage of, if you like, channel shift. But then moving on to online video, that ability to create one piece of video content and play that to many is a very, very attractive financial proposition for those teams to disseminate information much more effectively. I'm just going to touch now on the types of content that we've been creating over the last 4 months. Clearly, that leap from specialist face-to-face advice, where a business person can sit down and talk about their specific business challenges, is a highly valued service. So we had to look very, very carefully at what online content we could create that could either replicate or in some instances potentially improve that level of service. So that's a really big ask, to get rid of that personal interaction and then start creating online content that somehow is going to fill that gap. The three main lessons I think we learnt through this project were: the first one, the real importance of involving a learning expert whilst we develop this online content. So we've had a learning expert from another part of our business come in and help us with the strategy and actually make sure that all this content that we've been creating is action focused. And that's the real basis and push of what we try to deliver. There's no point us creating interesting content that helps people generally know more about business. We want to create content that actually leads to a specific action and helps a business person address a specific challenge. 4 treatment types I'm just going to touch on here. The first one is case studies. And what we learned through transitioning from that face-to-face advice and the feedback we had from business owners in the UK is that they don't want advice from civil servants. What they really want is advice from entrepreneurs who have been successful. And what we found is that going out into the market and asking successful, very high profile in some instances entrepreneurs, as well as lesser known business people, they were more than willing to share their experience and their advice on how they made their businesses successful. So they were providing this service, this kind of free interview, if you like, free of charge to the government. And it was that content which is really well received by business owners today, and we're going to have a look at a clip of it in a second. The second treatment type that we created specifically for this project is something called a jumpstart video, and that is us honing our ability to make very, very short videos of like 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes at most, that gives someone a flavour of a particular topic, cash flow, marketing, whatever it might be. So it's a short, sharp burst of information, but entry-level information, just to bring someone into the site and hopefully encourage them to do some deeper learning. The third treatment type in the bottom left-hand corner here is something called a right way, wrong way video. So conscious that online video could be quite one-dimensional for people that were used to talking to specialists, it was the ability to build in some interactivity into the video to enable a business owner to not just learn from the impact of a decision that might be made, which was a good idea, but equally for them online to play out the scenario of making a bad call in business and what the implication on the business might be. So that level of interactivity we thought was really important when you're trying to replace a traditional face-to-face service. The final one is just a presenter-led, frequently asked questions treatment type. And that's the ability for us to take all the top 10 questions that would have been posed to the telephone advice teams and play them back in online video format using presenters, green screen and animation to really bring that particular business challenge to light. I'm just going to show you a brief video now which will show you both a case study and also a very quick overview of the actual service which goes live in November.
In my new business, you'll find really useful information if you're thinking of working for yourself, or if you're in the early stages of setting up your own business. There's also information for you if you're already trading and still need a helping hand. We can help you decide whether working for yourself is right for you and support you in your startup journey. My new business has lots of videos and tools, plus other learning resources like tutorials and case studies. And all of them are aimed at helping people like you get their business started.
When LearningPool started, we were a tech startup, the same as every other tech startup out there. So we had no customers, no products, and certainly no cash. And all we really had at the early days was a good story and a big vision. So we never really had any cash to start with. And when we started spending money on products and hiring people and all of that sort of stuff, that cash became a really big problem really, really fast. We're quite lucky at LearningPool because my business partner and co-founder is an accountant. So she was able to articulate what the cash flow issue was going to be and how we could do that juggling act to fix the very, very short-term cash flow problems. I think a lot of companies, when they run into cash problems, they sort of stop. But we decided we wouldn't do that. Our business plan was all about growing the company at the time, and we knew that if we stopped growing the company, we would miss the opportunity, or we would falter in a different way.
Okay, so that was just a very quick summary of the project. The service goes live in November, and all the content will be freely available on businesslink.gov and other government websites. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you for that. Our second panelist is Paul Tarpley. Paul is the Managing Director for 24 Digital, and his company has been contracted by several government branches and departments for online video efforts. Paul?
Thanks very much. Yeah, so I'm Managing Director of 24 Digital, as Troy said. We're a digital media technology and services business. So I was just going to look in a bit more detail at two of our customers. One of those is the UK Parliament and the other one European Parliament. And because this is a content and technology track, what I was proposing to do is just to look at, so compare and contrast the different approaches to the content on UK and European Parliament, but also, because of that, then some of the technical implications. Just first of all, to start off with the UK Parliament, we started working for them back in 2001, running a pilot. I saw something from Real Networks earlier on, in the very early days of Real Networks, so 56K, tiny little video windows. Nowadays, the UK Parliament, the website is Parliament Live TV, or it's available from the main Parliament website. Its role in life really is to provide transparency and open access to the proceedings of the Parliament. So that's the sessions in the House of Lords, Commons, Westminster Hall, so the main chambers, but also all of the select committees across the parliamentary estate. And doesn't try in any way to editorialise that content. It's just there to provide live. So live streaming is really important because it just provides a completely open view on the workings of Parliament. And we aim to cover every committee meeting as it happens. So we have something like 34 odd different encoders running in the basement in Parliament, so taking all those different feeds. So we don't need to make decisions about which meetings are covered. We can cover all of them and let the viewer decide which ones they want to access. Live is a key part of that, but also then is time shifting and moving into archiving. If you go to the Parliament on a Wednesday, I think the session starts at 10 o'clock in the morning and runs on to something like 6 p.m. It's quite unlikely that you'll find the piece of content you want by arriving just when you want to. So we allow users to be able to shift backwards in time. So if you arrive in the afternoon and want to go to watch Prime Minister's question time, then you can jump just to that point in time. But still, no editorial decisions. It's really about providing that access. And as soon as a meeting ends, then that's archived, indexed, made searchable, and put into the database on the Parliament Live website so that you can go back there at any time and access it. And typically, I think we keep about 12 months worth of archive online at any time. If we look then at the European Parliament, and we've been working for the European Parliament now for 4 or possibly 5 years, they have a somewhat different approach. They also have very different challenges. We have 440 million European citizens speaking 23 different languages. And quite complicated process, and I think it's fair to say that for most European citizens, something that they're a bit more distant to the workings of the European Parliament, to their own Parliament. What the Parliament are doing there is working with production companies to produce content that's explaining the workings of Parliament. Now that could be from looking at legislation. There's a daily news roundup. There are programmes produced specifically for children to explain workings of Parliament in schools, and also longer form summaries at the end of each week looking at legislation, the impact of that, and so on. So the Parliament now are taking on the role of producer, of broadcaster. Their production company are producing that content and then delivering it to us. And in that case, what we're doing with the European Parliament platform is giving them a vehicle to put TV on the internet and also allowing them to do that in all of the different European languages. There are, of course, challenges with that, and there's one of the key aims of all government services is to balance of cost and accessibility. And what we do there is in some cases a program might be originally voiced in one language, so then we'll subtitle that into all of the other European languages, so you, the viewer, can choose which language you want to access. If the content is going to have a long lifetime, then we may add other voice tracks to that as well. So if you now want to listen to it in Spanish or Italian or German, you can do that.
In my new business...
Apologies, that's not the one I want. The European Parliament also have live coverage from the main plenary, from the main Parliament session. You might notice if you have a look at the site, there is a sort of slight technical jarring there, which is that if you see today, the live coverage is in a Windows Media format. All of the video on demand archives that we provide there are all in Flash formats. We also make it available to iPad and to Android as well. So if you key thing there was making this reach as many different devices as we can. That's something that we'll continue to build on. I'll just to give you a small flavour of it, and risk the curse of the live demo, just show you the European Parliament's TV site today. So all the content that's here can be reached from Europol TV, Europa EU website. It's also crucially all available through embedded links from other sites as well, particularly a Facebook player and so on. So the aim is not to make this necessarily a destination site in its own right, but to be a way of getting the European Parliament's content out into as many different destinations as we can. I'll just pick a news programme.
Several EU leaders, trade union and business representatives were in Brussels Monday morning to discuss the social crisis. Commission President José Manuel Barroso called for the financial sector to be more accountable to society.
We could also change the entire language of the website as well. I won't do that because I'll confuse myself. I'll leave the website in English and put some Finnish subtitles onto an English programme.
I think we should use the word
and then,
criminal nature.
As I say, a key thing is then being able to share this content on Facebook, Twitter and other sites and so on. So, different approach in terms of the way the content is produced for both of those parliamentary bodies. Also quite a different approach. Technically, the vast majority of the service on Europol TV is about online, is about video on demand and making that accessible to as many viewers as possible. For UK Parliament, it's a live service with an exact replica of that live broadcast available on demand. Just coming back to the technology approach in the UK Parliament, everything which we do there today is Windows Media through Silverlight, and one of the challenges we now have is to make that available onto more devices, so moving that to open standards. But at the same time, whilst we want to support many different standards, we need to be aware that we have to control costs in doing that as well. So UK Parliament, as well as available externally, is also available as a multicast stream internally onto all of the parliamentary PCs for the members. So there's just a quick flavour of, I think, some of the sort of creative content and technical approaches that two different customers there are taking with their government broadcasting service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Very good demo. And our final panelist is the only one who actually works directly for the government, a government. It's Heinrich Skovmark. He's a product manager at the Danish Parliament. Heinrich, tell us about yourself, your work.
Yes, my name is Henrik Skovmark, and I'm working in the Danish Parliament in the Communications Department. In the Danish Parliament, we have an ambition to be one of the most open and transparent parliaments in the world. And online streaming video from all our meetings is one way to try to obtain that goal. I would like to go through our project by addressing these issues, content and context, sharing and editing, and use and impact. But first, a short overview. The service was launched October last year. The business case and solution description was done by the Danish Parliament in Quebec, Denmark. We are streaming live from all plenary sessions in the chamber, and we are streaming live from all open meetings in the committees. And all sessions and meetings are instantly available as VOD. In the first year in service, we streamed 109 sessions from the chamber, 212 meetings from the committees. We produced 20 educational short films about Danish democracy, and we are not producing any editorial content. For us, the context of online parliamentary video is just as important as the content itself. We often deal with very long videos. A session in the chamber can easily take up to 10 hours. And presenting the videos in their full length on our website is of course a way to create openness. But in our opinion, we really start adding value to the videos when we give users the possibility to find the exact passages in the video which are relevant to them. Therefore, we timestamp the videos by integrating them with metadata from the parliamentary databases. And this enables us to index the videos on two levels, agenda item and speaker. This screen dump from our video portal shows a clickable agenda that allows users to select a specific agenda item and view exactly that part of the video. On the other tab, under the player, we present the list of speakers. This enables users to click through the meeting and view a specific speech, question, or contribution. On the list of speakers, we even integrate with the written minutes from the meetings. This works as a sort of closed captioning and allows users to click through the meeting and find quotes as written text. The videos are also integrated on the pages of our website, which present bills, proposals, questions, and biographies. So when users search our databases, hits will not only include parliamentary documents, but also the videos. This screen dump shows a bill with all its legislative documents. And by clicking on the reading of the bill, the exact reading from the chamber is shown. Another way to try to obtain openness and transparency, in our view, is to give the users the possibility to use the parliamentary videos actively in the political debate. This summer, we therefore launched a sharing tool that enables users to share our videos on social networks like Facebook and Twitter, and to copy the embed code so as to use the videos on their own website or blogs. Again, it's possible to share the entire video, a single agenda item, or a single speech from the chamber. We also give the users the possibility to edit the videos themselves and to cut out specific passages of the videos, either by entering a time code or simply by dragging the bars. This screen dump shows the Facebook wall of a young and very popular MP from the Red-Green Alliance. Recently, she shared the opening debate in Parliament live on Facebook, and she actually chatted with her followers from her seat in the chamber as the debate went along. Here you can see our live player with DVR embedded on her Facebook wall with the debate below. This example is the opening debate again, embedded live on the front page of the Social Democrats website. And this screen dump shows the Facebook wall of an MP from the Danish centre-right party. He has used the editing function to cut and paste a question he himself put to the Minister of Higher Education in the chamber. And here's an example of how the media use our sharing tool. This example is taken from a regional online newspaper from the northwestern part of Denmark. The paper has embedded a debate regarding the financing of a highway plan to be constructed in that region. And now in the final part of my presentation, I would like to focus on the use of the service. As I hope to have shown with my examples, there is no doubt that the service is a success. Members of Parliament use online video as a means to document and promote their political work. And as we have seen, members and the political parties use the online video to initiate political debate with their voters and followers. The number of open consultations with the ministers increased by 30% last year. That's not only because of parliamentary TV, but it's also because of parliamentary TV. It's a very powerful tool to ask a minister in open consultation and have the consultation broadcast on the parliamentary TV channel and on our website. Generally, the online media use the service as an added value to their content, especially small media organizations which do not have their own web TV editorial staff use our videos. Most of the major news organizations, especially the major Danish newspapers, are more interested in receiving a clean feed, so they're not keen on embedding. It's no surprise that online parliamentary video is no blockbuster in the general public. It's primarily a service for professional users, not only the politicians and the media, but also civil servants in the public administration. But nevertheless, we have experienced that current political issues and events, especially those taken up by the media, have led to increased viewing. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. It's no surprise that you've got a lot of progressive use going on in the Danish Parliament. So what I'm hearing from you guys is you guys are facing a lot of different pressures in putting government public service videos online than would come from the corporate sector. Like I'm hearing that there's a big demand to use open standards. Is that right? And if so, where's it coming from?
I think
Yeah.
if I can move one of these a bit nearer. Yes, I think I've certainly seen a very big demand for open standards. I think the online teams within government are very keen to promote open standards and therefore have a problem with promoting a particular vendor's technology and looking for the services to be as open as they can be.
Now, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the ground up? Is it the viewers who are demanding open standards? Is it the politicians thinking that it looks better to use open standards?
I'd say the viewers are looking for access to the content, less concerned with open standards. They might be concerned with open standards if it means it works on their iPad, but they're looking at the device and the way they want to consume the content rather than the standards as such. It's government is looking to open standards, I think, more than the end user.
Mm-hmm. You others agree with that?
Yeah, certainly we're seeing a big push towards open source CMS, content management systems as well, and a general view within government to, where possible, try and harmonise a lot of the video content and services. So in the UK, the three major super sites are looking to work together much more, again, to drive down costs. But the general view is that open standards is the way forward across government for that sort of work.
Now, for the time being at least, open standards and open platform don't have the same features as commercial offerings. Is that hampering what you're able to offer viewers? Any of you?
I'll be brave and say it is, yes. Because cost is also an important factor here as well. Mm-hmm. And if we want to offer advanced features like those DVR capabilities that we saw on the examples there, then it is not possible to achieve those with open standards. We need to look to the mainstream vendors and use their technologies. So there's a trade-off between standards and functionality.
Mm-hmm. What kind of things can't you do?
Well, certainly live. Things like the DVR capabilities in live. I don't know if you want to answer that as well, but some of the indexing features are more difficult in open standards.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for example, having an HTML5 player with H.264 video, it has very, very limited live capabilities today. Certainly can't handle some of those features of being able to jump around based on timeline.
But at least you don't have to worry about serving ads like corporations that want to move to open standards, right? Are there any governments selling ads on their videos yet? No? People wouldn't stand for it? So what are we talking about actually delivering? Is it just a matter of setting a camera up in front of the parliamentary body? Do you need to provide context and go deeper and help people understand the issues? What is the actual content that we're delivering? Heiner?
Sorry, can I have that again?
Well, what are we delivering when we're talking about government video? Is it a matter of showing government bodies at work? Or are we providing more context? Are we helping people understand the issues? What is the end goal?
For us, the end goal is openness and transparency. That you can see what's happening in Parliament as it happens. We are not producing any editorial stuff explaining. We are producing short educational films, but they're only 2 to 3 minutes long, and the target group is youngsters in school and so on. So for us, it's transparency, openness.
It's just about showing people how their government officials work.
Yeah.
And then others, is it the same for you, or is context more important than what you're doing?
I think specifically for us, it's all around disseminating information in an effective way. And for many years, we've been involved with our editorial skills around producing, very text-heavy type information to support in this project's interest. With Business Link, very text-heavy type content, which maybe was acceptable 4 or 5 years ago. And I guess in relation to that, the biggest challenge was just making that leap to seeing video as a cost-effective and more effective way of communicating with end users. It was perceived as sort of high value and not necessarily expected by the end user, but I'd say more and more so today the expectations have changed, and there is actually an expectation to see the content in video. And for us, the biggest challenge is around driving down costs of actually producing that content very cost effectively. And I'd say that is now well received. The business case and the support for video with our government clients has changed dramatically, I would say, in the last sort of year and a half.
Mm-hmm. And Paul, I know you had some thoughts on this, on providing context along with video.
I don't think there's a problem providing context, but it has to be done sensitively. And when you, in the case of the European Parliament, are producing editorial content around the workings of Parliament, then the issues of balance and fairness and giving sort of equal access to all parties are really important. I'm personally quite grateful that the content side of that contract isn't my responsibility. We just have to make sure that that's available as a technical platform. But in all television, you're always making decisions about what's in and what's out, and I think it means treading a very careful line when you do try and do that. But at the same time, what we do know from the feedback we get from viewers of the European Parliament content is they find it very interesting and very important. If you can get a 5-minute news summary every day of the workings of Parliament, rather than having to trawl through hours and hours of output just to make your own mind up on what's important, it's a valuable service. It just needs to be handled carefully.
Mm-hmm. So now we're seeing connected TVs become more important, people watching online video in their living room, mobile devices. How is government video responding to that? Is that changing what you do?
Well, we are planning to go on mobile with our solution. We're working on the specifications right now, and I think we can launch something in the start of next year, January, February. So it's definitely a way we are going.
And that's for mobile?
Yeah.
What about connected TVs?
No, we
Not
haven't
yet?
any plans on that right now.
Mm-hmm. Paul?
Certainly there's some work already to try and provide access to mobile, so the Europol site reaches a lot of mobile platforms today, and so we sort of deliver different versions of that content if you're on a mobile device to a PC or a Mac. But and I think both of those customers and other customers are increasingly looking for more and more reach on different mobile devices and looking for reach on connected TV. Connected TV has its own challenges around the different formats and standards of the content and user interfaces. But yeah, we're actively working on a number of connected TV projects. I just can't say exactly what we're doing at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So you see the importance of it and getting out in front of it?
Absolutely, definitely.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's talk about where this is all leading. I mean, with corporate video, it's, you know, it's about sales, it's about awareness. With government video, are you seeing that people are having more impact or more communication with their politicians? Is it driving awareness on issues? Heinrich suggested that end viewers weren't really the people watching this, right? So what effects is this having?
Well, I think end viewers are not viewing it on our website, on the Parliament website, but they are viewing it on Facebook, and I think that's the way to go with this if we want to have more viewers to make it possible to share the videos on the networks where the viewers are, because they are not, the general public is not on our website.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you've got some very interesting sharing tools that people can just grab the section they want and embed it wherever.
Yeah.
What do you use to make that?
Well, we made it ourselves in the Parliament. It's JavaScript and yeah, very easily done, I think.
Mm-hmm. So home created tool.
Yeah.
Very nice, and people are using it.
Yes, we launched it in June, and that's up to the summer break of the Parliament. So it was quite really nothing happened during the summer, but Parliament opened October, this October again, this 4th of October, and we can see now it's really taking off with the sharing on Facebook.
Have you noticed it driving awareness on issues or having effect to the public at large?
Not for the time being, but I think we will see that happen.
Okay, too soon to say. All right, Paul, Laurent?
Just that generally, through producing more video content on behalf of government, it is very well received. It is perceived that government are more willing to listen to what the users actually need. In the context of our project, you know, entrepreneurs, business owners expect to see information on their mobile devices, and it's very well received that this content is made available on mobile and is very positive. It builds a stronger relationship, I guess, between the business community and government.
What kind of content does the best? You know, what's a real blockbuster, so to speak, for government video?
Yeah. In the context of for us with business information, it really is the hearing the information from the horse's mouth. So if, for example, we're producing video content with high-profile entrepreneurs that are sharing their ideas and experience, then that's where the business community really get excited about what they're being told about. So where possible, they just want to hear it from the horse's mouth. They don't want to hear it in any other way. They don't want it with any gloss on it. They want to hear it how it is. So that sort of very hard-hitting reality content is what's received really well for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Paul?
Well, you get the occasional really big event in government. A lot of the content that's produced is just out there and doesn't have a mass audience, and then something like the sort of Murdoch hearing happens, which was enormous amounts of traffic on both the sort of Parliament sites and then taking those feeds out to other newspaper sites as well. Mm-hmm. And so you do still have very, very, very high interest events within government broadcasting like that.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I want to leave some time for some questions. I think we have a microphone to circulate. We have a question here. Do you have a mic? You don't have a mic? Well, you'll just have to yell really loud.
Can you share us more technical details about your projects, like what kind of live
You see, they were wondering how technical to get. All right, give them all the numbers. Let's get very geeky here. What formats and resolutions and services do you use?
Well, I'll start with just talking about the live feeds for the UK Parliament, then, just to give you some flavours of that. As I said, today all of that is based on Windows Media encoder. We surfaced that, traditionally that was through Windows Media Player. We've been running a pilot for 12 months now of moving that into Silverlight so we can have those DVR capabilities. Bit rates are relatively low still on that. I think somewhere around about 250 kilobits per second. We're working on some projects at the moment with the Parliament to push that, increase the quality. But just to give you some idea of the sort of architecture behind that, we take feeds via a router, so we take all the sort of SDI audio and video signals into a bank of encoders. We have some encoder control software that we can then schedule which encoders take which feeds and when the meeting starts and ends, and all the metadata. That's the key thing, is all the information about speakers and so on, so that can feed into the archive afterwards. Streaming servers on site within the Parliament, and then a fibre circuit, B2B WAN circuit out to our network, and then we then take care of the internet streaming side via our CDNs, but then we also do some multicast streams around the Parliament as well. So it's a really fast overview of the infrastructure there.
Okay. We need some more specs.
Well, I'm not a technician,
Not
so
for you, no.
I won't go into that.
Neither you either? Okay. Was that enough? Follow-up?
Let me just, I think there is it's a really, really good question about, about reading about case studies.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that, and we work for a lot of government departments and MOD and so on. And I find we give our marketing department absolute hell because most of the work that we do we can't talk about. And I think it's very difficult to share, really probably much more than we're talking about today. And we do have to make sure we really respect the relationship with the client and the confidentiality of the work we're doing. So I would love to be able to sort of publish more openly some of the work which we do in these cases. It's just difficult to do that.
I think in the corporate world there's just as much secrecy, so
yeah,
no surprise.
Yeah, indeed.
Do either of you have case studies that our audience could read about?
We do have some high-level case studies, which maybe if you provide your details, we could send out to you. But a similar scenario, we get slightly limited in terms of how much we can communicate because primarily the project is owned by a government department and we sit very much in the background. But we do have some case studies that we can send out.
Okay, why don't you just touch base afterwards. One more question over here.
On the Danish Parliament website, you were showing that individual politicians can take content, edit content, and display those things on their own Facebook page. Is that content available for independent news agencies or interest groups to be able to take as well and do the editing and share it that way?
Yeah, they are available for all the general public, news media, politician, interest groups.
How big is the audience? And is it something that's very popular for the Danish public to log on and watch? Do you get lots of current connections or is it very popular?
As I said, the sharing tool was launched this summer. The meetings in the open committee meetings, we have some of the best with the best viewing is 25,000 views per meeting, but that's all in all on our website, Facebook, and so on. I don't know if that is a big number, but I think it's good compared to that in the actual room in the Parliament. We can have an audience of 15 to 20 people on the open meetings.
And are you sharing it amongst other parliaments around the world, or is it something that you're just doing for yourself?
Well, it's something we developed for ourselves, but it's free of charge because we are paying for the streaming, so everybody can use it.
All right. Do we have a final question? Anyone? All right. Well, many thanks to our panelists. Appreciate it. You made a dry subject very interesting For someone from the U.S., it's weird to hear the word parliament used so much without the word funkadelic popping up, but I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Round of applause for them.
Thank you.
Told you to fly by.
Yeah, thanks.
They're all well prepared and went perfectly.
Thank you.